My face?
If you'd like, that would be wonderful, but it's up to you.
I'm a mess.
We got a lot of people. We got Beulah, we got Rama, we've got Deborah, we've got Dennis, Jennifer, Peter, our Etobicoke chapter chair is on the line. Hi, Peter. We've got Mary Jane. We've got Sabrina, we've got Mary,
look at this thing.
we've got lots of people. Hosne,
Yes.
welcome.
Video down here,
Thank you.
but it's crossed out.
We've got a couple of numbers. We've got 416 6670787. 416-667-0787. Who's on the line?
Where's the sound?
Elsie.
Oh, is Elsie?
Oh, they've got a John Lewis in here.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Elsie.
Hi.
And yeah, we've got, that's so awesome. We've got Elsie, we've got John Lewis, Barry Marsh. We've got a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot more people joining. So I don't know if I'll be able to introduce everyone as we have more people, but so far we've got an awesome group. Everybody's using the chat, which is awesome. We've got Edward LaRusick from Councillor Wong Tam's office in Ward 13, which is
should have
awesome.
been pointed the other way.
Yeah, this is great. We've got Bianca.
Quit chatting.
Getting more people joining. This is good.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Josephine. Good evening, everybody.
Oh, hi, Josephine. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much for joining. We've got a lot of people. Oh, wow. We already have over 60. We have 63 participants.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're just a couple minutes in. So Zoom is working well tonight. This is awesome. Oh, I'm excited. So we'll let more people join. We've still got lots of people joining, and we got some 905 numbers there. That's good. Somebody from the Peel area is joining. So I noticed also
I already clicked.
Ottawa organizer too, which is good. Caroline's on the call. Hey, Caroline. Hey, so glad you could join us.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We hope you enjoyed tonight, and looking forward to hearing about how the Ottawa one goes.
I'm the same as you. I don't know. I never saw the screen before in my life.
But on your machine, is there a way of turning?
Oh, Councillor Wong Tam has joined us. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Councillor, for being here. We can get started now. So let the forum begin. All right. So welcome everyone to the Citywide Internet Affordability Forum. Just like to welcome all attendees to forum. It's so wonderful to have you guys on the call tonight and to share your experiences and discuss the issue of the digital divide. My name is Ria Rinnie. I'm the co-chair of the Etobicoke chapter of Toronto ACORN. And so this is a very important discussion that's going to happen tonight. Discussion on why we need affordable internet for our low and moderate income communities. As we all know, especially these days, the internet is a necessity and our people need to be able to afford it more than ever. Today, our ACORN members will go over our Internet for All campaign and our demands for a publicly owned affordable internet. Today, we are also joined by Toronto City staff to speak on ConnectTO. So welcome City staff and thank you for participating in our forum. We're also joined by City Councilors Anthony Peruzza and Kristen Wong-Tam. Thank you both so much for your time and participation in our forum. We're also looking forward to hearing from you as well. We're joined also by Jamie Tom, the Vice President of the Elementary Teachers of Ontario. Thank you, Jamie, for your participation and your time. We also have Bianca Wiley as our guest speaker. Thank you, Bianca, for your participation and your time. And we also have the Toronto Mesh Network and Toronto Freenet as digital justice allies. Thank you guys for participating in our forum. We will have Jabby for land acknowledgement now. And following that, we will have ACORN members speak on our campaign, followed by ConnectTO, then ACORN member testimonials, and then followed by our guest speakers. Off to you, Jabby.
All right. Yes, good evening, everyone. Shout outs to y'all for making it. This is super important, the work we're doing. And I know that it's hard to do this work all the time. So I really, really appreciate everyone who showed up today. Thank you. I'm gonna start by doing a land acknowledgement. This is the first time I've ever put something like this together. So if anyone has any comments or critiques, I'm really open to learning. So let me take it. We recognize that we're meeting today in the traditional territory of Takaranto, a site of activity since time immemorial, with acknowledgement to the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and many other Indigenous peoples. Whether we came to this land by choice, by force, by displacement, or were born here in subsequent generations, we recognize that by being here as settlers and immigrants, we are bound to the treaties of this land. We must further recognize that treaties across Turtle Island have been broken or ignored by Canadian governments as a vehicle for land theft, systematic colonial violence, and genocide. Nothing can change if we as settlers and immigrants do nothing. While land acknowledgements such as these are important, they are not enough. We need to offer tangible support and solidarity. Sharon will be sharing a link to Indigenous Climate Action's website in the chat. Indigenous Climate Action is, quote, an Indigenous-led organization guided by a diverse group of Indigenous knowledge keepers, water protectors, and land defenders from communities and regions across the country. I encourage any and all of you who truly want to see change in this world, who truly want to abandon the genocidal policies that have been the backbone of Canadian governments since colonization, to support the work being done by Indigenous Climate Action and other Indigenous-led organizations. Now, I'm gonna pass it along to Alejandro, who's going to introduce what ACORN is.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alejandro. I'm a resident of North St. Jamestown and Ward 13, and also a member of ACORN here in the downtown chapter. So I want to introduce who we are. So ACORN is a community group made up of people who are passionate about bringing social change, social justice, and economic justice in our communities. We also believe in the power of numbers and know for a fact that when people come together, we can always bring good change. The only way we can keep fighting for important issues like affordable housing, affordable internet, childcare, raising the minimum wage, and more, if we all get together and we are all involved and show support. We are working on many campaigns and fighting hard to get affordable housing, healthy homes, fair banking, affordable childcare, affordable internet, worker rights, and more. ACORN Canada started in Western Toronto in 2004, and we are now across the country. We stand for low income and moderate income families and individuals. We believe that we all can change together towards social justice, and we are a member-run union, and we believe that the people united can achieve great things working together as one single voice. Thank you, and I'll pass it out to Ria.
Excellent. Thank you, Alejandro. My name is Ryan. Nice to meet everyone, see everyone out tonight. So then I believe we're going to start our quick sort of history of ACORN's Internet for All campaign and certain aspects and periods of it. Is it up in the chat for everyone?
Yeah, we should have it in the chat also. I think we're gonna show the video before we get started.
Oh, yes, there's video, sorry.
Ria, you will need to unmute yourself.
I'm so sorry, I'm unmuted. Before we move on to our presentation for our Affordable Internet campaign and the campaign demands, we do have a small video to share. It's a collaboration of Toronto and Ottawa ACORN, and it's based on our Internet for All campaign. Sharon will share the video now.
What do we want? Internet is a right. Fight, fight, fight.
Duopoly, monopoly, the powerful and wealthy. But we all need the internet to make the people healthy.
Woo!
Ray Noyes has lived without internet for 2 decades. He says not having internet is making him feel even more isolated.
The whole world apparently is ordering stuff online and having it delivered. That's not an option for me. I just turned 65, and that puts me up in something of a risk group. So I've been concerned about going on public transit. I just haven't gone anywhere basically since this pandemic started.
Mergers can't fool us! Mergers can't fool us! And who are we? And what do we want? And when do we want it? Now! Now! $10 internet now! $10 internet now! $10 internet now!
Favor Encanta lives with her 3-year-old daughter, but she doesn't qualify for the federal internet access program. She says she can't afford the $57 a month internet costs, but she wouldn't be able to plan her education without it.
The use of the internet, which helps to keep my daughter entertained at home when I'm doing other things. For example, I'm trying to apply for Algonquin College, so I needed all those time to really focus on what I was doing. That means I'm unable to use it.
ACORN Canada says that many others, like Noise and Encanta, are falling through the cracks. That's why they want $10 internet available for all low-income families.
I think it's very important to have internet for all, so a reduced fee so that people with lower income can afford internet. It's the lifeline for people who are living alone and need supports from outside.
My name is Andrea, and I support the ACORN Canada Internet for All for the reason I can save $60 a month so I can put more food into my house.
You can't really fully participate in our society unless you are connected via the internet. So yes, I'm Mavis Finnemore, and I support ACORN's campaign for Internet for All.
I'm here to let you know internet, it's a necessity. We need internet.
And please support ACORN's campaign Internet for All.
Oh, that was such a powerful video. Now turning it over to Ryan to go over our Internet for All campaign.
Yeah, thank you, Ria. All right, there we go. ACORN's Internet for All campaign. So ACORN's actually been fighting for affordable internet for low and moderate families for quite a while, almost a decade. However, COVID-19 crisis has highlighted just how much low income and moderate income people rely on the internet for school, work, but beyond that, things like food deliveries, medicine, communication with their family to be less disconnected, and also just to interact with their government and to participate in forums such as this. People without internet would not be able to join in and participate in their government, and ACORN's fighting against that two-tier. Nearly 20% of people in Canada do not have broadband internet access at home. And obviously without broadband, video such as this is almost impossible. Furthermore, in a recent ACORN study, a quarter of respondents replied they have sacrificed food in order to pay for internet services. And that's unacceptable. Next slide. The campaign launched in 2013 at a convention in Toronto. Oh, and Shahid has shown up. So you don't have to hear me ramble on quite so long. If she's ready, I'll pass it on to her because you're going to hear me talk later and you'd rather mix it up. Is she here?
Sure, yes, I'm here.
All right, sorry, I don't want to rush you
Ryan.
either, so
take
it away.
Thank you, Ryan. Hi, everyone. I'm Shahid. I am a main member of ACORN here in East York, and I'm really, really happy to be here. And I'm so glad that 88 participants are here as well. I think it's such an important issue that we're discussing today. And yes, as Ryan mentioned, ACORN has been fighting for affordable internet for a very, very long time. This campaign has been going on for so many years now, and it's so great to see that it's actually getting somewhere. And next slide, please, because Ryan already talked about this. So the campaign actually officially started in 2013 at a convention in Toronto. And the first focus was on corporate targets. And it was great that we actually won this program with Rogers and Telus. And, that was a great start. But the truth is that those programs actually need a lot of improvement. Next slide, please. So somewhere between 2016 and 2017 with the CRTC, they held a hearing with ACORN members, and it was again a great victory for us to actually win this decision that they declared that internet is in fact a basic service. And now this mandated the government to do something about this problem and address it. But unfortunately, the CRTC did pass the responsibility to the Ministry of Innovation to fix this issue. So, another year went by, and in 2018, ACORN was still working on this campaign and fighting for affordable internet. And we managed to meet with the Minister of Innovation, Nadine Baines, and he also declared that internet is a right, which was again a big victory. And as a result of that, the federal level program, Connecting Families, started, and they're providing $10 per month internet. But for only parents, first of all, and also it's only 20% of parents. And this means that $80 million is basically going to provide the service to some low-income families. And in the meantime, ACORN actually released a report titled Internet for All and Barriers to Digital Equity. Next slide, please. So now the campaign is still going on. And the truth is that there are a lot of shortfalls to the federal program. So when you actually go into the details of how this program is being delivered, the truth is that, first of all, it's voluntary. So it's targeting only some income families, and these families actually have to have children. So if they don't have children, they don't qualify. This is while there are around 3.4 million people actually that are living below official poverty line. So a lot of people are being excluded from this program. In addition to that, the people that are actually participating in this program is only 5% of some of these low-income parents. So on top of all of these, there's also a cap to how many people can actually participate. So there are only 220,000 families that can participate in this program, and the speed that the internet that is being provided is very low. So as a conclusion, the truth is that when you look at this program, there's still a lot of groups and demographics that are being excluded. We need internet for all low-income people, the people that are on fixed income, like seniors, people who are on disability, and also in addition to that, considering that prices are keep going up, we also need to include moderate income families to have access to affordable and high-speed internet. And with that, I'm going to again pass on to Ryan to continue.
There we go. Thank you, Shahid. So because the federal government has failed to force big telecoms to provide internet, just one of their many failures, Toronto has decided to try to address this issue at a more local level, and so ACORN has also shifted its focus. COVID-19 has locked Toronto down, and many of us have been under some form of lockdown for upwards of a year now. And the internet is one of the only ways for us to safely remain connected and stay informed. For example, right now, trying to get appointments for vaccines. Without the internet, I don't know where you are with that. As the city of Toronto begins to address this issue of internet affordability, it is important that low and moderate income communities remain part of the conversation. These communities make up not only the most of the essential workers who put their lives at risk to keep the city running, but also seniors, immunocompromised people, the underhoused, and other vulnerable groups who, in order to interact again with their government, to participate in most of society, need some form of internet. Next slide, please. So a little history of the Connect TO, the City of Toronto solution from an ACORN perspective. In February 2021, they voted to move ahead to a municipal solution to this digital divide. ACORN members made deputations and explained our demands and the needs of low and moderate income people. These deputations and work of ACORN members helped get motions passed, which include a commitment to consult with anti-poverty groups prior to tender documents being finalized. I believe this form might be part of that. To integrate high-speed internet into new housing developments, and to utilize the city-owned infrastructure such as bike share stations, green P meters, public parks, TCHC buildings, and city faculties for affordable internet. Next slide. So a brief of our demands for affordable internet in Toronto. First and foremost, we demand the city creates an independent ISP. It is important that Connect TO be publicly owned and publicly controlled permanently in perpetuity. This means banning big telecoms such as Rogers, Bell, and TELUS from participation in Connect TO. This includes, but is not limited to, restricting their ability to lobby or be on the executive board and give them control over a publicly owned institution. We also demand affordable devices and modems be supplied by the city, because if people can't actually use the internet, providing the internet is pointless. We also demand a $10 internet for the most vulnerable, including low income, such as seniors, lone parents, people with disabilities, as well as help for moderate income people, working families and such, and people making $60,000 per year or less. Included in this is a minimum threshold on speed. As you will hear in a few speakers coming up, it is generally not enough right now. So the speed will be set at 50 megabytes per second for downloads and 10 Mbps for uploads. We also demand privacy protection. Data collected through the Connect TO should not be sold, shall not be sold, nor shared with private companies. We also want the city to provide free public Wi-Fi using that infrastructure we just talked about in all city-owned parks and facilities, buildings, including Toronto community housing buildings. Furthermore, the citywide access and not just limited to pilot project areas. So what we don't want is the City of Toronto starting this and then giving up when the going gets tough. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, to make this affordable program permanent, not just for a few years. And thank you. Those are our demands. I think I'm supposed to hand it off to someone, sorry. Ria, thank you.
Ria, you might have to unmute yourself. Ria, you might have to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Yay, sorry about that. All right, thank you so much to Shahed and Ryan for this awesome presentation. Now we are going to have Alice from the City of Toronto to speak on ConnectTO and what the program from the city looks like so far. Alice, over to you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
We
Perfect.
can hear you.
So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I'm going to share my screen. Just bear with me 1 second. It says it's disabled participant screen sharing. I can just speak to it if
Try once more.
Okay, sorry. Aha. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Okay, so I am. Thank you very much to everybody for allowing us to be part of this space today. It's a real pleasure to speak with you, and it's only slightly awkward to follow the demands that I just saw, which are, I know, coming from a really sincere place and a really valued place. But I wanted to share with you the work we've done so far, and really just wanting to learn more about how your lived experiences and to hear all the great conversation happening today. So I know I only have 5 minutes, so I'll talk a little bit faster. Okay, so as you know from the previous presentation, City Council in February approved a program called ConnectTO, and so my team has the pleasure of leading that work. My name is Alice, and I'm the manager for the city's Connected Community team. I have with me a colleague, Hamish, who is also on the line somewhere, and Hamish can maybe wave at a later time, who is leading a lot of the public consultation on this work. And so, I just want to, I know I only have the 5 minutes, but I really want to take the time to thank you to everyone who participated in the committee process. I want to thank you for sharing your lived experiences and bring your voice to this issue. And I wanted to let you know that, your work, the meetings have been on with ACORN so far, hearing your commitment, the organization you've been doing to bring this together, it's really inspiring to me personally. And it's driving a lot of the work that we're doing. And, it's really about building that community resilience, which I admire and I want to be part of. And when I think about it, it's really community resilience is so important for the health and well-being of our city. It's definitely not, City Council saying this will be done and it's just done. It needs a community to bring that together. And so I just want to say thank you very much for being part of that solution. And one of the main takeaways I wanted to leave with you in these 5 minutes is that this is a journey, and a journey with this community. We don't have all the answers. Addressing the digital divide is not an easy task. And we're here to really understand and hear from you and be part of that journey together. So as you can see from this slide, we've put together 4 pillars for the outcomes that we're looking for from the program overall. And so even though bridging the digital divide has been on the city's agenda for some time now, the real impetus and sort of moving forward with this work started with the pandemic. It's really brought into focus for us how not having access to affordable internet has affected people. And so particularly low-income people and vulnerable residents. And so the city understood, as our role as the sort of the government closest to people, we have to do something. And so we also wanted to
get to the fucking point already.
Okay, I'll take that hint. Okay, next slide. So, we wanted to get to basically 3 buckets of work. First one is, how do we focus connectivity as a city? We are looking to deploy a number of things like Wi-Fi in public spaces, which you heard about already, that I heard that you're looking for. We're looking for, embedding connectivity in the way that we're building the city. So, when we build a park, putting connectivity as an outcome outright rather than an end of pipe sort of solution that we tack on at the end. When we're looking at repaving our roads, what can we do to build connectivity into the way that we are doing our construction so that we have that asset, so that we can use that asset for the benefit of everyone in the city. From a policy development process, there's a lot of work to be done here, and we are looking to develop a digital equity policy, which doesn't yet exist in the city. It's a policy gap that we've identified, and so some of those things are around adaptive technologies, understanding how accessibility is going to play a role in this work. So not only the hardware and the physical infrastructure we've been talking about, but a digital equity policy overall. And then this broadband network that everyone is very interesting in talking about. And so this bucket of work is really about leveraging city assets, our right of way, the city's fiber that we are going to be laying down through the policies I just mentioned before, to be able to leverage that through an opportunity with a partnership opportunity, with the ultimate goal of expanding the high-speed internet access to underserved Torontonians. So this work was approved by City Council in February. It's now April, and we've been busy working on understanding the landscape better, creating the invitation for partnership to the sector overall, and we hope to be able to do more community engagement in the coming months. I think my 5 minutes is up. I want to thank you for listening, and that I want to let you know that as a city, we're here to listen. We really want to understand how this might work for you, because the last thing we want to do is go into a dark room, make the plans, and that won't work for the community. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Alice. Thank you for all the info and for your participation in the forum. This is really valuable. And I'm now going to introduce our members, our ACORN members, who will give their testimonials one by one. And we'll start off with Javi. She's going to speak on the theme of affordable internet for youth. Javi, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah, sure, I'm ready. Good evening again. Youth is a bit of a misnomer. I'm not as young as I look, y'all. I mean, I'm younger than some, but older than many, I feel, in my heart. Anyways, so I'm just going to speak a bit towards my personal experience. I don't really have any notes or speech prepared. I did a lot of work on the land acknowledgement, but I figured I'd just speak off the cuff because that's kind of how I roll. So I should start by saying that I don't want to be here. I despise meetings like this. And the reason that I don't like coming to meetings like this is because so often it feels like a fundamental waste of time. I've had meetings with her with Alice. I see the hard work Alice is out here doing, and I appreciate the hard work she's doing. But I have little to no faith in the city or the governments to support the people. I don't know if y'all remember earlier, but Ryan spoke to the fact that ACORN has been fighting for this for over a decade. So let me put that into context for you. While I'm not the most youth of youth, 10 years ago, I couldn't do a lot of things, right? And to know that in the last 10 years, we've only come to the point where 5% of the poor could potentially maybe access affordable internet, it's unacceptable. I mean, is the UN just some sort of club? Is it a hobby? Do they just come out with these statements to pat themselves on the back and say internet is a human right, and then no one does anything substantial about it? I'm tired and I'm young, and I've had experiences this year where figuring out how to afford the internet could not be figured out, where the internet had to be cut off and I had to like hook up with my neighbors and hotspot stuff, and then everything was slow. I was actually in a meeting with city officials at one point where I had to use the data on my cell phone that I also can't afford just to talk to the city about doing something for the constituents, whoever we are, whatever they want to call us. But it's not enough. It really isn't enough. And something that I've really been thinking about over the course of the last little while, I should let y'all know that I'm a server, so I've basically been totally screwed for the last year and a while. But I think that's something that I'm confused about when I, hear politicians talk or look at folks coming in for the city, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, and I've said this before in these types of meetings, but like, what kind of city do you want to live in? Is it just going to be rich people and the people who serve them who continue to suffer, or do you want communities of individuals? Like, people are going to talk later about having kids. My partner and I, we want to have children. We would love that. We love to share our understanding of the world. We love to engage with young minds in our home and help them understand how to engage with the greater society around them. But frankly, I cannot envision in any way affording to pay rent, buy food, get around town, and also have the internet. In addition to that, over the course of the pandemic, as a server, I've been trying to find ways to make more money when things open up again. Eventually, I've been studying wine. Everything's online. You see me in my kitchen right now? It's because I had to move because I couldn't afford my last apartment. Right now, we get internet, it's in the lease, but the internet doesn't work in any room really but my kitchen. So I have a desk. I have a desk that, I found it on the side of the road, but I have a desk in my bedroom and I can't work there. I have to set up beside my stove in front of the fridge because it's the only place where I'd be actually able to talk to you. And if we're looking to further our society, if we're looking to give people the opportunity to live and grow and not just survive, but thrive, and I'm in a position where if internet wasn't in my lease, I wouldn't be able to afford it, where I'm in a position where I had to move out of a place that I had for 2 years because, again, I could not afford it, and the internet and food. And thank goodness, lockdown sucks, but I couldn't afford to get around the city anyways. I've never been able to afford a bus pass in Toronto. It was like, hope for the best or walk. Hope for a good week of work or walk. And again, I'm going to say this one more time before I stop speaking, but I think we really have to take the time, and I'm speaking to the persons who work for the city right now, because I know most of the other people in the call are out here thinking the same thing, of what kind of city do you want to live in? What is this city going to look like in 10 years? Is it going to look like young people are able to make their way through the world and again, thrive, not just survive? Or is it just going to be a bunch of rich folks patting themselves on the back for being rich and being weird, hoarding, dragging things? Anyways, that's me. If you have any questions, holler. And if you don't, that's cool too.
All right. Thank you so much, Javi. That was an amazing testimonial. And really speaks to the need to get internet into everyone's hands so that they can, be actively involved in the city, and that's so powerful and so important. Now we're going to move on to Kelly. She's going to speak about the speed of internet. Kelly, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Kelly Lalonde. I'd like to thank you for letting me speak to you today. As you can see, I cannot be seen on Zoom since my speed is very low. On Tuesday, June 14th, 2016, I gave Rogers a call to get on the Connected for Success program, which was $10 for high-speed internet in TCH. And I thought I would have no trouble getting it because I was the one who got it in TCH to begin with. I also live there. But with the help of the head organizer, John Anderson, and ACORN, I was able to get it. But boy, was I ever wrong when I thought I could get it. I had to get rid of my landline and get a cell phone, and then get a refurbished computer for $150 just to get on the program. But that's not why I'm here today. I'm here because when I got on Connected for Success, I got a very, very, very low speed of 3 megabytes. So now I can't see you or any of my brothers and sisters in ACORN or participate in any of the ACORN Zoom meetings. And now with COVID, more and more people are working from home and needing the internet and Zoom more than ever. We need at least 50 megabytes of download speed and 10 megabytes of upload speed. And just like housing, the internet is a human right. We all need affordable internet, not just for some, but for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And to speak about the issue of speed, that's a really important part of it, definitely part of the campaign as well. Now we'll move on to Donna. She's going to give her testimonial about the price of internet. Donna, you can go ahead whenever you're ready. Oh, we don't have Donna. Okay, we'll skip Donna for now. I see Sheila.
Oh, here I am.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
It wouldn't let me unmute.
Ah!
It said, "We're not letting her talk." Okay.
Ah!
So here we go. My concerns are with the raising price of internet. There are so many people who don't have access to the internet because of the high prices. This is only going to get worse with companies merging, like, for instance, Roger taking over Shaw, for example. This will reduce competition, less choices for consumers, prices will rise going forward. I am, along with many others, are consumers who are close to not being able to afford internet. There has to be something that can be done about the number of people without access will increase if we don't do something about the raising cost and monopoly of these companies like Rogers. I'm paying over $70 a month and it's unacceptable. Fees should be capped. And that's it, short and sweet. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Donna, for speaking about the issue of price, which is affecting a lot of people on this call and across the city. Next, we're going to hear a testimonial from Sheila. Sheila is going to speak about the need for internet when it comes to schooling. Sheila, you can go ahead whenever you're ready. Do we have Sheila? Oh, I see Shelly Ann. No, maybe
You're muted.
Oh, Sheila's muted. We'll just wait for Sheila. To wait till she's unmuted and then she'll go ahead.
Sheila, you'll have to press *6 to unmute yourself.
Oh, Sheila, if you're calling in on a phone, if you're on Zoom through your phone, Bob just put a comment saying that you can press *6, and that'll unmute you on the phone. Just pressing *6.
I think, Sheila, you're unmuted. Try.
Oh,
Sheila, give
Sheila?
us a shout.
Sheila, do we have you? Oh, Sheila, are you able to unmute? Okay, Sheila, it might just take a couple minutes. She might be working on unmuting, or something's come up. Hopefully everything's okay. But we'll move on to our next presenter, Shelly Ann, and she's going to speak about needing the internet for medical appointments as well as everyday use. Shelly Ann, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Are you hearing me?
Oh, a little bit louder.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Shelly Ann, and I'm a member of the Northwest chapter of ACORN. Now, 10 years ago, if you had asked me about the internet, I would have told you that I don't need it. I don't see the need for it. But seeing that pen and paper is a thing of the past, today I am singing a different song. The internet is not a luxury. It is essential. During the pandemic, we have to be using the internet more than ever before. And low-income families are being left behind because of this digital device. Everything is happening online, from grocery shopping, banking, doctor's appointments, education, to work. Yes, ADP, Workforce Now. Workforce Now, ADP have overtaken my workplace. And to access my pay stub, my T4, time off, e-claim, we all have to do it online. The internet needs to be affordable so that no family should be left behind. Because of this essential service, we need to be able to afford it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shelly Ann. That's very true for internet, especially when it comes to doctor's appointments, and also for work uses as well. Next, we're going to hear from Shahed. She's going to speak about Rogers, her experience with Rogers cutting her network. Shahed, you can go ahead whenever you're ready. Oh, Shahed might be muted.
It worked. Thank you. I couldn't unmute myself again. I guess there's no Zoom meeting until you experience that. I'd like to, if that's okay, I'd love to thank Alice for her presentation. It was awesome. Thank you so much. And it was so great to hear that you're actually thinking about having policy around equity. I think that's amazing progress. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that later on. But it's also very hard to follow all these amazing folks who shared their experience. Thank you so much. But yes, I'll keep it very short. So when the pandemic hit, I guess like a lot of other people, I was laid off from my work. I was working for a very small business. So, I was already in a very tough financial position. And I don't know why, but for some reason, my service provider, which was Rogers, decided that, they want to increase the internet price. And it wasn't just me. It was a lot of people that I was talking to. They told me that they got the same notice. So when I did call them, yeah, they told me that, that's just how it is. It's we project that this increase has nothing to do with the pandemic, and there's nothing we can do about it. And it really didn't matter, the fact that we were actually in a pandemic, and one would think that as part of this society, they would I don't know, make arrangements so that they could be more understanding of the people who actually rely on the service, because we were all stuck in a lockdown like everybody else that shared. Everything was happening online, and I couldn't honestly even imagine not having internet at that point. But it eventually happened because I couldn't afford it. And again, when I called them, they said, it is what it is. This is a business. What do you expect? So I'm going to echo what Javi said. I think it all comes down to, what kind of city, what kind of community we want to live in. Do we want to live in a community that a business or a corporation is going to tell me that I don't care, I'm going to think about my profit and my business, nothing else matters to me? So I think at this point in time, because of what the pandemic has shown us, I think it's a great opportunity for us to think differently. So I would love for the city and the councillors to actually take this into account when they make this decision, so that they look at the community rather than big corporations, when we actually build this publicly owned, hopefully, internet. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Shahed. That's so true about making sure that we don't have corporate involvement so that they can take advantage of low to moderate income people. That was really, that's a really important part of our campaign. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Bob Murphy. He's going to talk about internet for people on disability. Bob, you can go ahead whenever you're ready. Bob, are you on mute?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Bob Murphy, and I'm the chair of ACORN York Southwestern. I am an Ontario disability recipient. I've once again been notified yesterday that I'm laid off from my part-time job to supplement my disability income. My therapy programs now are all done via virtual through the internet. My 5 physical therapy programs a week. That's the only way that I can receive therapy that I've been getting for quite a few years now. I take classes via the internet. I have to put internet costs before food, which sacrifices nutrition, which affects my our mental health. I have to access internet before food in Toronto as an Ontario disability recipient that has been neglected from our Ford government. I'm on the Food Share Advisory Committee. I am a brain injury survivor. I'm on the Brain Injury Society of Toronto Advocacy Advisory Committee. I'm on the Toronto Community Hub Neighborhoods PODS program. I'm on the Walk and Cycle York Southwestern. I would never be able to have the opportunity to be part of these wonderful organizations without internet. I have to spend monies for internet before food every month. And now, once I'm laid off again due to COVID, it's going to be a struggle. I will be at a food bank. Internet access is important. It's our link to, especially now during COVID, it's our link to everything, banking. Why in Canada or in Ontario or in Toronto that I have to sacrifice food nutrition for internet access? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you so much to everybody who shared their testimonial. These are our members sharing their experiences, and they're incredibly valuable. So just going to ask, before we have our guests speak, would everyone like to do a chant? We can do a quick chant just to liven things up and get some excitement going before our guests speak. So I think we'll do the probably one of the more popular chants that we have, which is, "Give me an A."
A.
Give me a C.
C.
Give me an O.
O.
Give me an R. Give me an N.
N.
Who are we?
Acorn.
Who are we?
Acorn.
And what do we want?
Affordable internet now.
What do we want?
Affordable internet.
And when do we want it?
Now.
When do we want it?
Right now.
Woo! Thanks, guys. We're all we're pumped up now to hear our guests speak. And I will now turn it over to Councillor Peruzza. Councillor Peruzza, you can go ahead whenever you're ready. Oh, do we have Councillor Peruzza on the call or somebody from his office?
Yep, this is Jessica from Councillor Peruzza's office. I know the councillor.
Hey, JP, I'm here. I'm here. Do you want JP or? Yeah? I'm good. I'm here. Peruzza.
Awesome.
Whichever of you would like to go. Both of you are. Whoever wants to go is fine.
Sure, I will take a stab at it. Listen, I've been listening intently, except for the last couple of minutes. I just you know what? Wouldn't you know it? Yeah, you leave the screen, and that's when you got to go, right? That's when it's your turn. So internet. I just want to pick up on something that one of the folks said earlier. She basically said, look, we started advocating for this 10 years ago, and we still don't have it. And, I don't like meetings, because it just like everything seems to move so slowly. And while I agree with her sentiments, I agree fundamentally with what she said. So the city of Toronto now is, we just, a short while ago, a month or so ago, basically looked at this issue and said, why don't we take a look at it, and why don't we pilot it out and see how we might be able to, in some way as a city, deliver or connect people to the internet, and bring the internet to people at hopefully will be more affordable rates, because that's the way one would want to do this. And we've all heard of how important access to the internet is now. I mean, you can't, most things you used to sort of have to walk around to do, now you do through the internet, whatever it is, ordering your meals, as someone said, accessing information, connecting, this meeting tonight, and all kinds of other things. And quite frankly, as the world evolves and as we move forward, the reliance on and the need, quite frankly, for your daily subsistence, to be able to connect and to this world, to this cyber world, will be so fundamentally important for all of us. So now the question is, well, why don't we in Canada have affordable access to the internet, and why isn't everybody have it? Right? Like, why isn't it like, just sort of, a public benefit or a public right of sorts? As with all things, this will be a difficult thing for us to deliver as a city. I have no illusions about that. While we have some infrastructure, and while we have some cables that take us to city sites and city properties, we still have a whole bunch of things that we need to do. And ultimately, I suspect what our staff and some of the folks that we're talking about, how we might be able to achieve this, said is fundamentally is we're going to have to start up some separate entity or basically get into some kind of partnership with the with the big players like Rogers and Bell and some of those other folks that are out there doing this. And then one would say, well, where's the benefit to us, right? So it'll be complicated for us to do this. To really do it as a city, what I guess from my sort of limited understanding of this is we'd have to set up our own separate entity and then figure out how to roll the capital into that entity and then be able to really sort of get into the game and compete for a market share of, internet service at some rate below, what some of the other companies provide. But this is an unusual world. It's somewhat of a complicated world where the rates for this activity, whether it's phone service, whether it's cabling, whether it's fiber, and what and there's something else I connected to a little earlier, and I would just please remind people that this is sort of a bit of a lawless world that we communicate in now, right? So there's wonderful benefits to it that we all can kind of like meet like this from the comfort of our own rooms or our own homes. But the unlawlessness of it is, so we heard somebody earlier, well, one of the city people was doing the presentation, basically told her to, come on, bugger up and move on. And we can do that. So if you think that I've gone on too long, please don't do it that way to me. Just somebody raise your hand and say, Peruzza, shut up, and I'll do that. I'll shut up, right? And life will go on. So, please understand that when we use these formats, we all subject ourselves to sort of an unregulated world where people can speak their minds. And I would hope that that we're all to some degree sort of govern ourselves and our best possible behavior. But having said that, this world is regulated. Yeah.
Councillor Peruzza, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I'm just letting you know you have about 30 seconds left, just because we have.
I'm wrapping it right up.
Okay,
so this world is regulated by the CRTC. So why don't you have affordable rates now? Does anybody know where the CRTC offices are? All right. So the Rogers rates, the Bell rates, and all the other guys' rates are all regulated by that outfit that nobody knows where they live, right? And I suspect that if we get into this business, they're going to some degree, have some regulatory authority over us as well. So what I want to loop it back to to what that person, the advocate, said earlier about it. Why does it take so long to do this stuff? The reality, folks, is that you guys collectively bring about change because of the energy that you spend working on these issues and staying after it, so that you push us to overcome those difficulties and those roadblocks that we encounter from time to time that make it difficult to be able to deliver on these types of programs. And it's that energy and it's that persistence that ultimately brings about change. So hats off to ACORN. I hope that you stay after it. And I'm hoping that sometime real soon in the near future, we will be able to connect some of the neighborhoods in the city of Toronto to the internet, and hopefully in a more affordable way. It would be my hope that we ultimately get into this game and compete with these big companies and keep them honest and bring those rates down. Because I've always believed that the public sector can do things better than most of the private sector. How many people here tonight know that the Ontario used to have a bank? Earl, I see you raise your hand. That's right, the Ontario Savings Office. used to deliver banking services to Ontarians at a much better rate, mostly government of Ontario employees, at a much better rate than the major banks. Used to lend out money at much, much better rates. Used to charge far, far less for accounts and for keeping money in the bank and the rest of it. Used to return several $1 billion when it was finally dismantled in the late 1990s by the Conservative government in Ontario. And do you know why all of that took place? You say, well, why wasn't that bank expanded if it was doing so well, Anthony? If it was returning money to the government every year, if it was providing better banking services to the people of Ontario at much, much better rates, if it was lending money at much, much better rates, why don't we still have it? Because the big banks went after it. And for years, they wanted the government to dismantle it. And because people like you weren't out there fighting for it, pushing for it, and saying, no, hang on a second, you ain't touching this one, because it does far better for us than what the major banks do. And because that didn't happen, the government came along, dismantled it, and most of you don't even know about it. We used to have a bank. But because nobody was in that corner, fighting for that bank to be expanded, fighting for those services to say that that's better for us and better for Ontarians. It was basically done away with it without a whimper. I don't even remember an editorial in the paper about it. Why? Because they also, to some degree, control the media in that regard.
Thank you, Anthony.
Okay.
We appreciate that.
Sure.
So we're just gonna
and I'm happy to be done with that. Thank you.
Excellent. So Councillor Wong Tam, if you want to address your audience, please.
Thank you very much, and it's wonderful to be here. I really do value the many different experiences that you were sharing, and I want to say thank you, because it was a real honor to hear those stories. It's really nice to be able to speak to this particular issue, because it's one that I have a lot of passion for, and I do recognize that in the preceding conversations before myself, you had expressed some frustration as why isn't the municipal government doing more? And I think Councillor Perruzza, my friend and colleague, pretty much nailed it on the head. It's that the City of Toronto is not an internet service provider. And I'm not sure if we are going to be one. I'll be very honest, because that is not the recommendation from the city staff in the Connect TO report. But what is a recommendation in the city staff report, and where City of Toronto is definitely heading, is that geographically we know that internet is available to the entire city. I'm talking about in terms of technological digital reach. But we also know that there are spots within the city where you do not have high-speed internet, or what we're going to call broadband. So broadband is when internet is always on, and it's definitely faster than dial-up. And that's really what we're trying to pursue when we're talking about, faster downloads, faster uploads. What I want to offer to you is that although the city is not an internet service provider, and it takes a lot of infrastructure and a lot of money and a lot of know-how to set one of those companies up, and I don't think that we have that expertise in-house, although Alice and Hamish are excellent in terms of everything that they do, but I'm pretty sure they would concur with me, is that we just don't have that expertise in-house. But I can say that there are about 250 ISPs, Internet Service Providers, in Canada. I believe that's roughly the number. And you already know some of the big ones, Bell, Rogers, TELUS, but there's many, many more. So when we talk about, who can regulate and ensure that there's a competitive environment so the prices can come down, that there is no price fixing amongst the big corporations, perhaps, it would be the CRTC. And Anthony has just spoken to the fact that the CRTC is not really a transparent and known entity to us, because we're not necessarily paying attention to what they're doing. But they don't necessarily report out to average Canadians. They kind of report out to corporations, and the corporations have massive lobbies, and they get paid lots of money that go and try to influence the federal government, which actually is which is the sort of overseer, and then they work together. So if we are going to really try to achieve accessible internet broadband, we're going to have to go to the federal government. And this is where I can say I'm very encouraged by the recent council vote with respect to ConnectTO, because you now have officially and formally a partner in the city that wants to achieve that outcome with you. And this won't just be a benefit to the city of Toronto. I think it could create a ripple effect across the country. So I just want to speak to that point, because it's unlikely that the city of Toronto will be an ISP, but it is very likely that we are going to be building a strategy that actually moves us towards a couple of things. One is more broadband coverage across the city, using the city's existing infrastructure, which could be physical buildings, infrastructure with respect to the roads and the lights that we control and that we own. And so we can actually fill that gap where high-speed broadband internet is not steady and reliable. When it comes to the pricing thing, that is going to have to be a different strategy that we will have to work together to lobby the federal government to help us deliver. I want to just also recognize, and I think this is important, the city should be compelled to do this work, largely because of the poverty reduction strategy that the city has developed. And I know that ACORN has their fingerprints all over that strategy. Many members came out to participate. You provided your lived experience, but also your expertise in telling us what is needed to overcome income inequality and how to eliminate poverty. And one of those critical foundational pieces is that we needed to bridge the digital divide, which means, again, we're coming back to affordable internet. So that is a foundational policy position that the City of Toronto has already taken. You've already taken it, and you've been very articulate tonight, as you have for the past 10 years been expressing what that need is, and that's something that we can certainly work to together. I'm going to end on this one note, just because in the interest of time. My dad is 83. My mother is 73, and they have never owned a computer. My dad has a grade 4 education. My mother has a grade 6 education. And when it comes to how do they advance and communicate through the world, how do they communicate with their children and grandchildren during the COVID lockdown? How do they order their groceries? How do they do their banking? And they don't have a credit card. I can tell you that they are entirely analog. They don't even have a cell phone. So I know this story very well because it's very personal about what happens when people that you care about, or in your own family, or you, don't have access to affordable internet. There are so many people in our city that are so far behind, that are so disconnected, and largely because of income and income inequality. And I know, as you all know, the COVID pandemic has made everything worse. So let us take advantage of this opportunity, this very powerful moment in time where we are all in this one together in some way or another, and make sure that we don't squander what we've now learned through the pandemic, is that social inequalities has direct correlation to health inequalities, and we can do everything we can to ensure that access to affordable internet is a rights-based, we take a rights-based approach, but also we have to make it user-centered. And I would leave you with those comments and say thank you to everyone for your patience and also for sharing your stories tonight.
Thank you so much, Councillor Wong-Tam. Thank you also to Councillor Perruzza. Thank you both, councillors, and we will definitely continue to fight for our demands, and we absolutely appreciate your perspectives. Next, we will be moving to Jamie Tom to talk about her area of expertise. She's from the ETT. Jamie, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Ria. It's nice to be here representing ETT. So for those of you who are not familiar with ETT, Elementary Teachers of Toronto, we are the Toronto local of the ETFO, and we represent the 11,000 contract elementary teachers who work for the Toronto District School Board. And so thank you for inviting me here today to speak on behalf of our organization about the importance of affordable internet for students. You know, Councillor Wong Tam just spoke about the way in which social inequality permeates our society and the impact it has on outcomes for people. In the education context, social inequality is having a disproportionate impact on students and lower income families. It is having a huge impact on those families, especially so during this pandemic. We've seen social inequality during the pandemic have a real impact on students, and lack of internet, of course, affects those students in our system who do live in the most underprivileged neighborhoods. Lack of internet connectivity has become a real issue because while it was an important resource prior to the pandemic, it's become a critical resource, learning resource, teaching resource in the public education system. And unlike brick and mortar schools, where despite disparities, income disparities from neighborhood to neighborhood, there is still a baseline of resourcing in schools. Kids have, for example, paper and pencil. In virtual schools right now, there is no baseline guarantee of internet connectivity, and our members are reporting to us that that is obviously having an impact on learning outcomes for students. Like Councillor Wong Tam said as well, I don't think that the school board has any appetite to get into the business of being an internet service provider. And I noticed in the chat there were a few questions about, well, how can the school boards across the province provide virtual learning and yet not guarantee a minimum level of internet service? And I think the reality is that school boards don't yet culturally recognize internet provision as a resource in the same way that they would see, you know, paper and pencil, for example, in a school. And there's also nothing within the Education Act which requires school boards to provide that service, internet service, quite apart from the fact that I don't think that they have the resources and the financial wherewithal to provide it. But it definitely is the lack of affordable internet for our most underprivileged students is definitely being brought into sharp relief during the course of this pandemic, and it's having a detrimental impact on learning outcomes for many students in the TDSB. And so I applaud the efforts of ACORN to champion this initiative and to really push this agenda, because it's much needed, and I hope that you know, the efforts are ultimately successful, and I also hope that various levels of government will get involved to ensure that this becomes a reality.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Your perspective is greatly appreciated. And just to move on to our next guest, just looking at the time, trying to get everyone in. We'll move next to Bianca Wiley. Bianca, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Wonderful, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Bianca. I'm here on behalf of Tech Reset Canada. We're a volunteer group that looks to sort of think about the public good and how technology is being built. And so I just want to say thank you so much for having me tonight and for all of your work. I have basically one point to make, and it's building on a lot of what's been said already. Before I do that, I just want to say something on behalf of, I'm going to say every 95 of us here tonight, is that Alice, you moved with incredible grace through a moment earlier that I know is unacceptable to all 95 others here, and that was admirable. And just want to say that we're all super ragged, and this is a really hard time to be doing this work. But I just wanted to put voice to that. Lots of people said it in the chat, just wanted to say it with words here. So the one thing I want to say, which I think really builds on some of the stuff that Jabi was saying, is that if you look at the last 20 years, what the CRTC has done, what the federal government has done, and what the companies have done to get access, internet access to people, it's time to stop thinking it's going to really change. And so the thing that I'm here to kind of set up for some of the speakers that will follow is it's time to start building some alternatives, as well as continuing all of this work for better pricing. And so as someone who works with technology, I want everyone here to know that the answer from this point on, I think, is one of salvaging. There's infrastructure that exists. We need to set up, and we can do this through ConnectTO, ways to borrow some of this infrastructure, invest in ourselves, and start building out other network systems, other ISPs, community networks. We need to think about lots of solutions. And the thing is, for a lot of us, it doesn't feel like that's an option. That's the thing that we have to start to do. Because after 20 years, enough is enough to say, oh, the 21st year is going to be different. Sorry, like for me, it doesn't feel reasonable. So I'm excited to see that with Connect Toronto, with ConnectTO, we can come together and put some requirements together for the city to see that, as Councillor Wong Tam was speaking of, in terms of strategy, that there's policy opportunities to make sure that we can build other networks, other ISPs. And I just want to end on the note of saying, the way out of this is likely not one thing, it's a lot of things at once. Let's get cheaper internet, let's get better plans from the big companies, but let's also build alternatives. We can totally do this together, but it's time to do that. So I look forward to continuing to work with all of you on that. And I'm so grateful for all of the effort that's been put in to date. And it is so tiring to have to do this in a country so-called Canada, to be having to fight for these things for this level. As I listen tonight, it just continually, yeah, but too ragged to go on there. But I just want to say thank you and look forward to continue working together. And that's it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Bianca. We really appreciate your perspective, especially when it comes to alternatives for internet delivery. Next, we're going to move to the Toronto Mesh Network, and they can go ahead whenever they're ready.
Hi, thanks. Can you hear me okay there?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks very much. I appreciate, I put on my, there I am, okay. Ragged is a good word, Bianca, exactly how I'm feeling. So my name's Tim, I'm from Toronto Mesh. Thanks very much to ACORN and everyone for the powerful and sustained engagement with this critical issue of internet affordability and access and equitable benefit. I only met the ACORN folks a short time ago, but I've been really impressed with the passion and commitment that the folks I've met are bringing to this, and it's really evident today. And I've met now a whole bunch other 95, I forget the number you mentioned, but a lot more of you, and that's great. And it's been really inspiring to hear the stories. And until this evening, I actually had no idea that ACORN had been active on this issue for that long. So that's amazing. Okay, and also just to echo Bianca's words, very much appreciate the city to come here and tell us about what they're trying to do, and the steps that they're taking to open up access to municipal infrastructure and to engage more broadly with the community to discover innovative ways to apply those assets to bridge this digital divide. For us, our hope is that that's going to multiply the range of possibilities by giving innovators and the community so much more to work with in bridging the gaps. It's clear, don't have to tell you folks, I mean, it's clear to everyone here, I think tonight, that an internet connection, can really nowadays mean everything to anyone at any time. And but it remains, for too many people, just entirely out of reach every day. So the work that you're doing is just critical. Thanks very much. So Toronto Mesh, just briefly, Toronto Mesh is an extension of the Civic Tech Toronto community. It's a group that broke off with a specialized interest in mesh networking technologies, but quickly developed relationships around the world with other groups that were also exploring the possibilities of mesh networking technologies. But we also started to learn about community networks around the world. And so in response to the pandemic, we wanted to contribute what expertise we might have in bridging the gaps. And so we engaged with, I guess, different groups in the city who are contributing to install infrastructure, and have been shadowing for the past year this City of Toronto's free Wi-Fi program to try to expand the reach of that network, and also to ensure that that network or those assets and the benefits that are delivered extend well beyond the emergency measures of the pandemic, and continue indefinitely into the future as a community driven, community owned, community operated, community governed alternative system of alternative network, delivering access on a basis of optional donations is one possibility that we've learned from our neighbor to the south in New York City with the NYC Mesh program, and to work with a wide variety of community groups and individuals who want to contribute to building this network together to develop what the policies would be around these kinds of things. Yeah, so what's unique about I guess community networks is not just the fact that it's aiming to deliver connectivity and services to people under whatever terms they can that are acceptable to them, and that could be free. But it also is to engage people and invite them to participate in the actual design and governance and construction of the network, which means that they have a direct voice in policies around privacy and data handling, this kind of a thing. And also, I guess sometimes we talk about the stack in a network. We're very much interested in what we call sort of the higher level stacks that come with that participation. So the learning about the technologies, the learning about the infrastructure and the sort of technological ecosystem in which we're all increasingly living and embedded. That learning itself, apart from the basic connection and access, the opportunity to participate and to serve your own local community by connecting people there, is itself a value proposition. And as we go higher and higher in that stack, and we start to, as a culture and as a society, utilize these tools more powerfully in our lives, that kind of knowledge about how to do that becomes more and more important, so that we don't have sort of the distortions of scale and distance that these current first generation of social media platforms and marketplaces impose on your local community, and the ways that they simply don't serve you. And we believe, I guess, that a genuine measure of a truly smart city is its capacity to sustain a community network. We think that can really be a genuine indicator. I guess then, so to whatever extent that the expectations are not met for universal access, Toronto Mesh and the rest of the coalition that we're bringing together is here to try to close that gap. So this is just, let's bring everything and all the groups together that we can at the community level to close whatever gaps remain. And I just want to say to whatever extent the expectations of affordable universal access are actually met or exceeded, then the value of the Toronto Community Network only grows larger and larger, because the basic connectivity is already there. So that extra level of participation and actual human networking and collaboration that the network enables becomes a powerful multiplier for the resources and for the people in the city.
Oh, Tim, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be rude. Just looking at the time here, we're at 8 now. We got a couple more things to do, but thank you so much for your perspective on this. It's great to hear. And if members have any questions afterwards, we can have them answered by you in the Q&A. Next, we'll move on to Toronto Freenet. And I'm sorry to ask this, if you could just keep it short, that would be great. And then if members have any questions at the end, they can ask. Do we have Toronto Freenet on the call?
Here. Hi, Ria. Hi,
Hello.
everybody. My name is Andy Peterson. I'm a member of Toronto Freenet, which is a small, but we like to think mighty internet service provider here in Toronto that is nonprofit and run entirely by its members on an entirely volunteer basis. And I first of all, I just wanted to thank everybody for inviting me to speak and inviting me to take part in this, what I find a quite incredible event. And I'm sort of like swinging back and forth between outrage and heartbreak, but also sort of like feelings of optimism and inspiration, to think that such a diverse group of people are in the room talking about how we can make the internet better and work better for the people who use it. I think is an incredible opportunity, and I want to thank everybody who is participating and taking part, because I know I'll be walking out of here thinking lots of interesting thoughts that I wasn't thinking before I came into this meeting. So I'll just say very briefly, so Toronto Freenet has been around in the city since the early 1990s, offers a variety of internet connectivity and other services. It's to its members. Joining is free, and we encourage people to join up. Joining gives you a voice in management and all the decisions that are made at the Freenet. You can subscribe to some of our internet connectivity, help push us into new areas. We've been talking a lot, Tim and I have actually, we just met a couple of weeks ago, and we've been talking a lot about the kinds of things that that we can do. And I really, I appreciate so much Bianca's point that there are all kinds of things that we can create if we just give ourselves a little bit of space to imagine them, and sort of like trust in our own stories, trust in our own needs, and decide that we want to together go and do something about it. And so, in the interest of keeping it really short, I will wrap up with that. Thanks again to everybody, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so very much, Andy. We really appreciate your presentation. And now we'll just go to question and answer session. Actually, before we do that, I know we don't have a lot of time yet, but I just want to see if we have Sheila still on the line. Sheila, are you still available? Are you available to do your testimony?
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, Sheila, if you could just speak a teeny bit louder, please. Just but okay. Just a little bit louder. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good. Sorry, you're perfect. That's fine.
Okay, thank you very much for being patient with me, and thank you for allowing me to.
Sheila, you gotta shout. You gotta be like, thank you.
Okay. Okay. As you know, that students and everyone need internet to communicate with each other. We all pay our dues within the time, and still we are having to face issues. Since the COVID, all students are facing difficulty. Some parents lose their jobs and cannot pay $80 or $120 for internet. I strongly believe that all should have an affordable internet. We all should have an affordable rate so that student and teacher can have a better connection with their classes. In January 2021, I witnessed that while my daughter was online with a class, that within 20 minutes in the class, the teacher disappeared then came back for 10 minutes. After he returned, he said that he was having problems with his internet. This should not have happened in the virtual classes. We all need our kids to become proficient in their schoolwork, so not having proper internet is not the way to be successful, but having effective and affordable internet is the way to be successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sheila. We really appreciate your perspective on why internet is needs to be affordable and effective for schooling, especially during the pandemic. Okay, now we're going to move on to our question and answer session. So we're going to keep it short because we don't have a lot of time left. Our organizers can follow up with whoever has any questions. If you have some questions for our organizers, feel free to drop them in the chat section with your phone number and or email. They can just be questions for the speakers, comments about today. So I think what we'll do is just looking at some of the people that have already put questions in. We like to go with sort of earliest questions going forward. So I'm going to call on Kiri. Kiri, you have a question, and I know that Councillor Wong Tam had to leave, but I believe the other guests are still here. But if you want to go ahead, that would be great.
Oh, hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Fantastic. I know our attention span is getting shorter now. I'll make it quick. So I have a comment, and then afterwards I have a question. So we know the importance of the internet, as we all discussed, and we pointed from different angles. I just wanted to stress it from another angle, is access to justice. This day and age, everything is turning toward online. And if you don't have equal access to justice, then we have no justice. And there's a way, it just came to my thought. If government is reluctant to put the money first, maybe they can put the policies in place in a way that they can refuse to enforce certain penalties. In that way, there will be a push to make the change. For an example, a city infractions, or maybe ticket from a Toronto police or something like that, is because in any way possible to help us have this campaign go through. It's because access to internet is critical, and access to justice is critical. And I think from that perspective, there's various ways we can creatively challenge this slow progress and help other new providers like Andy Pearson mentioned. I think we need to be a little bit more innovative in pushing these policies forward. That's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kiri. We really appreciate your statements. Next, we have a question or comment from the Reverend Karen Harrison. Reverend Harrison, are you on the call still? No? Okay. We'll go next to Peter Dagama. He is the chair of our Etobicoke chapter for ACORN. Peter, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's any way we can use CRT regulations, like to set wholesale prices to get prices that would favor a city internet provider, like give a special rate for city internet provider with the goals that that provider would increase broadband and would provide affordable internet and provide access to other ISPs, to the smaller ISPs. Connection. I wonder if any way of working, is any hope of working with the CRTC to regulate the rates? Because I think in building city-wide broadband, you might need access to Rogers network or the Bell network at some point. So I'm just wondering if there's any way we can get cheaper prices to get access to those networks.
That's a really good question, Peter. I'm gonna ask Bianca if you wouldn't mind responding, because this sounds like it might be something in your wheelhouse.
Little bit, and I might ask if anyone else here knows more, but the one thing I know is that there's rules on the books with the CRTC that municipalities should be able to access that infrastructure in some ways. So it's not directly necessarily related to rates, but it is access to the infrastructure, which kind of brings us back to what Tim and Andy were speaking about with alternative network models. So that's one area where I think we need to start investigating what the options are and agitating a bit there and seeing if the city can also provide some pressure. But that's as much as I know. If anyone else here knows more, I'm just starting to learn about that from CRTC people.
That sounds awesome, Bianca. Thank you. Peter, do you have any other specific questions? No, okay. Next, oh, we did get something from Karen. She said she'll write her question. She suggests that we engage in building our own system, and can we not do this with a group of human rights lawyers and have them present the City of Toronto with an invoice, because they've created a policy on the books already around the elimination of poverty in Toronto. So if any of our guests would like to respond to Karen's comment, please do.
I can say quickly that bringing some lawyers in, that's who I've been learning about the CRTC from, makes so much sense, even in terms of whether there's any way to put pressure on whether it's doing filings at the CRTC or figuring out where, you know, if there's strategic litigation, if there's any opportunity to use more legal instruments. There's lots of, you know, academic and lawyers sort of to bring into these conversations more. So I just want to say excellent suggestion, and we should be doing more of it for sure.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Bianca, for responding. I'll just ask if Dennis, would you like to ask a question to our guests or just make a comment? Okay, I see that a couple people, oh, Dennis is just asking if he can be unmuted. Andrew or Sharon, would either of you be able to unmute Dennis?
I did. I think it worked.
Oh, we can hear you, Dennis.
Okay. So, you know, my background is I work at University of Toronto. I actually do take care of the wireless network for the St. George campus. So I deal with a lot of clients like students. So that's why I was trying to ask, like, I mean, I can totally understand the city's side of building an infrastructure and then maintaining it, having these access points. Like we at the university, we have about like 8,000 of these guys on campus, and they cost a lot of money to install, wire up, power, maintain, change. So, I mean, I just Googled how many units are in the city TTFC system, and it says 60,000 units. So, I mean, I kind of understand the city's perspective of cost. Maybe would it be more feasible if we can force companies like Rogers and Bell, who already own the network, who already have the equipment, to sort of offer it rather than building a citywide thing? So, I don't know.
Thank you so much, Dennis, for your question. Would anyone like to respond to what Dennis just said?
So I can try. Dennis, I want to say thank you very much for the question, and maybe I can pick your brain later on, given your technical expertise as well, if you're willing. But I guess my response is, we are looking at how to have a long-term solution. Like over the pandemic, we've been doing some, through donations, et cetera, some short-term solutions. So you may have heard about the, you know, digital canopy work. Through a donation, we're getting free public Wi-Fi into tower neighborhood buildings here in Toronto based on need. We've done donations of equipment through another donation. So 500 smartphones went through Toronto Aboriginal Support Services Council. But these are, we've done, you know, free internet at our shelters, at our long-term care homes, but these are short-term solutions that are not really sustainable. What we're trying to do today now is, as you know, I was trying to say in my 5 minutes earlier, trying to bring the city into a more empowered position for the long term. And from what I'm hearing tonight, that is what people are looking for as well. So, and as Bianca said, it may not just be one thing, it could be many things. But what the Connectio idea is that, you know, if we have assets, right? If we have a network that give us that empowered position to be nimble going forward. And I have to say, you know, it's not a new idea. Many other municipalities have done this to varying degrees of success. But what I have seen throughout the pandemic is that cities that have owned infrastructure have had a lot more options, right, in the solutions they wish to deploy. And so that's where we're trying to get to. We're trying to use our assets and bring that benefit to those who need it.
That sounds good. Thank you so much, Alice. We really appreciate it. And now I'm just going to read out a question that Vijay put down. He says, for the hydro, we have energy savings programs for lower income households. Can we not have the same type of program for the internet?
So part of the research we've been doing currently, one with Ryerson University specifically, is looking at how other municipalities, mostly in North America, have deployed subsidy or subsidy-like programs for internet or broadband access. And so we're definitely looking at how that might be achieved. Again, we're really trying to pull out all the tools and see which one fits and learning. I wasn't joking earlier when I said we don't have all the answers. We want to try things and see if they work. So definitely we're thinking about, what are some things we can do in the meantime to combat, the impact of the pandemic, and what are some things we can do in the long term for that long-term resilience.
That sounds good. Thank you so much, Alice, for responding to that question. And so now we are going to move into the final portion, which is how to get involved. And I will turn the floor over to Abdullah.
Hi, so thank you for everyone for coming to this forum. I really appreciate it. ACORN is a community group that's made possible through the involvement of all our members who are passionate about bringing social change, social justice, and perhaps most importantly, economic justice to our communities. We believe in the power of numbers, and we know for a fact that when people come together, we can affect change for the good. And the only way that we can keep fighting for important issues like affordable housing, affordable internet, childcare, raising the minimum wage, and more issues is if we all get involved and show support. Shireen's going to share a link to our website in the chat and also our phone numbers. So if you'd like to get involved with our campaigns and fight together, you can reach out. I got involved a few months ago. As it happens, I was going through a rent eviction scare. So, they found me at a very good time. And one thing that I think has been clear to me and has become more clear as I've delved into these issues is that a lot of the problems that we have, a lot of the problems that low to medium income earning people have in a city like Toronto, in a big city anywhere, a lot of those things are universal. So the solidarity is really important, and yeah, I mean we'd love to have you. We'd love to see you at future meetings. So. Thank you once again for coming. We're at the end of our forum today, but we will definitely keep fighting as a community group to bring forth real change. And thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Ria's going to carry on with some ACORN chants that we like to do as members. Yeah, hope to see you soon.
Thanks so much, Abdullah. And I am going to
sorry, Ria.
Do some chants. Oh, yes.
So I just wanted to say, just because in particular, I think this has been a very good session and very productive. But Alice, I am sorry for earlier on behalf, personally and on behalf of ACORN, that is against what we do here. And we want people to express themselves honestly, but also appropriately and with respect to everyone. So just, I am sorry for that. And I know that doesn't make up for it, but thank you for your time. And well, you say that, but no one who's giving their time and stuff deserves to hear that. So I know other people were thinking it, but I'm loud, so I just wanted to say it on behalf of ACORN, because I know we were all thinking it. And again, I truly apologize for that.
No, Ryan, I second that totally. Exactly. Yes, Alice, we appreciate your time. And our other guests, we appreciate your time so much. Life is so crazy these days. Just you guys taking a couple hours out of your busy schedules to come and speak to us. It's so greatly appreciated. It really is. And I'd like to do a couple chants, but first I'm so excited. I can't wait to start the first one. But I just remembered and saw a question that Michael asked in the chat, and it's so key, and it was directed at Jamie and Felicia, because this is their wheelhouse, their area of expertise, and I'm going to read out this question from Michael. It says, my question is to Jamie and Felicia. Could the teachers' unions make a stand on this issue? Since teachers are being forced to teach online, shouldn't all students and teachers have access to affordable, reliable internet? Without the internet, students are not able to receive the education that they're legally entitled and obligated to receive. This seems like a conflict with the Education Act and the Charter of Rights. So Jamie, Felicia, not to put you guys on the spot, if you guys are still on the call, even I know things get busy, but if you are available to answer, to respond to Michael's question, that would be great. If not, due to time limits, that's totally understandable, but just wanted to put Michael's question out there because it's a pretty good one. Okay, no worries.
No, I'll answer. Sorry, it's Felicia. Hi,
oh,
everyone.
hi, Felicia. Sorry.
Hey, it's all good, and I'm a proud ACORN member, Scarborough chapter. Woo-hoo.
Oh, sweet, awesome.
Thank you, Jamie, for that question. It is a great question, and yeah. So when it comes down to it, that's about mobilizing our members. We can totally give voice to this issue, and we should. And in the past, we have supported ACORN's campaign in terms of internet for all. So yeah, that's something that should be put on the agenda. And Jamie is the head of communications at ETT. So hopefully he will also bring this to the executive for us to look at how we can go about building a campaign and involving our members, because it's something that we should definitely be a part of and something that we should be pushing. So great question. Thank you. And yes, we can.
Thank you so much, Felicia. We really appreciate that. We would love to work with you and Jamie more in continuing this really important campaign. It's just so wonderful to have everyone here on the call. Thank you big time to our guests tonight. We're just going to end with a quick chant, just to, keep the momentum going, and to take on, our typical ACORN action where, if we were in person, we'd be marching up and down the street with the chant. But we can't do that all together in person, but we can still do it over Zoom. And so the first chant I have is, hey, hey, ho, ho. Sky high internet's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
Ho, ho. Sky high internet's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
Sky high internet's got to go. Hey, ho, ho. Sky high internet's got to go.
You mix the chant.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. Sky high internet. Got to go. Hey, and we have one more key chant. And it doesn't just apply to our affordable internet campaign, it applies to every single campaign that we do. And that's why this is such a popular chant. It is the people united, never be defeated. United, never be defeated.
United will never be defeated.
Thank you so much, guys. I love the energy on this call. Everyone has been so amazing with their contributions and their energy. Thank you guys so much. We'll continue the fight. We'll continue the fight. My pleasure to be here to see all this as well. It was a lot of fun, and we will all hopefully talk soon and keep posted for updates from Andrew and Sharon, and everyone stay healthy and safe, okay?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone stay
Thanks,
healthy.
everybody.
Bye,
everyone.
Great meeting. Thank you.
You guys, bye.